And the beauty of this business is you can take it anywhere. You can work it, from anywhere.
Welcome to the Other 99% podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Duck, a coffee-loving direct sales enthusiast who's obsessed with a good digital system. Come join me for a realistic look into the world of direct sales. We'll explore inspiring perspectives, learn about unique business tips, and celebrate success stories that often go untold. Because on the other 99%, every seller matters.
Hey everyone, it is me, Lisa, and welcome back to another episode of The Other 99%. I'm here with my co-host, Susan Larimer, and our special guest, Dena. And Dena, I just wanted you to jump in and tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and most of all, I want to know how you got started in the direct sales field.
Yeah. So, hi everyone, Dena Gregory. I have a brand, Dena's At Home Spa through Lemongrass Spa Products. And I have two little boys, 3 and 5 right now. And I got into this space because, well, I didn't know I didn't even know I was getting into the space, to be honest. I attended a friend's online event, and I used to manage Bath and Body Works and Rite Aid, Walgreens pharmacy, kind of the front end of those things. And as everything was kind of coming up, I was like, ooh, I like that. And oh my gosh, that body polish would be so amazing. And oh, the makeup is so clean. And at that time, my son, I couldn't find he was a year old. And I really struggled finding the perfect combination of wipes and diapers and diaper rash creams. And I couldn't find something that was really clean and non-toxic that I really wanted to use. And it's funny because until we have children, I don't think what goes on our bodies. And then when we bring this little tiny human into the world, you just want to protect them as much as possible. And so, as I was kind of looking through all of the things, I had placed a small order, and then I just reached out to the gal and I was like, hey, like, what is it like to kind of get all of the things? And so that's how it started.
That's awesome. So Dena and I know each other from Lemongrass Spa. We have met in person. We communicate on social media all the time. And I know that she is a military family. Her husband's in the Army. And when I watch her on social media, she's always moving. And not just like down the street. These are like state to state moves. So tell us maybe how in the last 5 years, how many times have you moved and how do you keep your business going so strong? Because in these 5 years, you're earning incentive trips, you're growing your team, you're promoting, which always amazes me because it's hard for me to get established when I live in one place for years. And I'm just amazed at how military families do it. So just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so I think that's an advantage, right, of moving because you are always opening up your network and you're always, meeting new people. And I tend to do most of my business through social media and online. It's very interesting how direct sales works because everybody has their own way of running their business, from in-home events to virtual events to vendor activities, fundraising. There's just so many different ways that you can make this business work for you. And I feel like being like moving from international, I was in Belgium. That was our first move. So I've moved 4 times in the past 5 years. And so the first move with Lemongrass Spa, I moved from Belgium to Maryland. And I was there for a couple years, and then moved to Connecticut. We were not even there for 1 year, and now we just moved to Florida. And so it does help to be on the move, but stay in connection with people, in the virtual space. So yeah. But I do commit. Like
So you
Susan
kind of
said,
like,
we met in person.
yeah. So
Yeah,
every time
that's
you move, I mean, you're taking your customers from one state on social media, you're carrying them with you. So I guess that could be an advantage. If you thrived in like the home party area, then I think it would be much harder. But you've taken advantage of all of the social media and technology to grow your business, which is smart.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
love that. So knowing that you do your business that way, you must have some systems or tools or routines that you have in place because I mean, it takes a lot to manage. Like, I know a customer, Susan from, I don't know, Denver or something, and I'm just thinking of US places that I know. So I'm like, I
Denver.
have no
Yes.
idea where they are, but okay, Denver. Denver is the first thing that came to my head. So how do you manage that? Like, how do you keep your systems together? What kind of routines do you have that you use?
I do a lot of, I would say, yeah, contact management, I guess would be the best way to put it through Lemongrass Spa has an amazing, back office where we can, search contacts by state and, address or location. And then Project Broadcast, I think, is, a big tool because I can then go off of, time zones and things like that. I mean, I do have clients because Lemongrass Spa is US only, but I do have clients from the East Coast to the West Coast in Hawaii, Alaska, and even some overseas because we do ship to, US territories. So that's helpful. And some military bases too, because it's still a US postal service that is utilized over there. So yeah.
So we were at conference together a couple weeks ago, and Dina was like going back and forth between home and conference. And she had her two little boys with her, which was so fun. I mean, we could hear them kind of entertaining themselves in the back. And I got to see her, and he was choosing his favorite truck from her trunk. And she was traveling back and forth. So, Dina, you take care of two little kids, 3 and 5, you said? And then you
Yes.
also
Yes.
have a
So
mom that you're supporting through some health issues. And she's in a different state too. So how do you balance the family life, the business life? How do you do it all?
yes, that is a really great question. Sometimes I wonder how I do it myself. Um, but again, the beauty of this business is you can take it anywhere. You can work it, from anywhere. But I was really intentional actually this past year. You know, I do feel like sometimes in this business, you do have to take a step back and reevaluate like what is really important. And to me, that was um, focusing on the customers that I had through customer follow up and just staying in connection with the people that have been with me through this journey. I didn't really grow this year because I could not put the time into growing a team, growing my business. This was just a season where I had to, step back. But I also utilized a lot of, systems that were put in place to kind of help me do that. And I don't like to automate my business too much. So when I send out a text message through, Project Broadcast, I usually ask a genuine question so that I can stay in contact with my people, and that is team and customers. But I was on the road a lot this past year because I was in Connecticut. My mom is in Delaware, and where they live, they don't have the resources that she needed. So she was going to Philly and New Jersey, and so for us, it was actually um, I don't want to say it was a blessing, but I mean it was easier for us to drive 3 hours to maybe, go to a doctor's appointment and stay the night versus driving 6 hours, So it was this this past year was such a blur, but it was also a really great experience. And my husband at work he was in a program that he had a lot of flexibility. So there were some times where I could just go, and be with my mom in the hospital. And so those were sweet moments that, we had together.
Yeah, and if you worked a regular 9 to 5 job, I mean, that wouldn't be an option. You'd be asking to take off. You'd have to take like a family medical leave. I mean, that's one of the benefits, like you said, of direct sales. And you can put it in sort of a maintenance mode. And because we have consumable products, you're able to take care of your current customers, like you said, instead of constantly trying to find new customers.
Yes. Yeah, it was. I mean, and this year, we got moved on the, moved last year, moved this year. And now it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can breathe a little bit now. And it's funny because you mentioned, driving back and forth, but it was that important for me because, this year I had 3 team members come for the first time to conference. I'm like, I was so close. I mean, it was an hour and a half, 2 hour drive that I was like, I just can't not go. So, Grant was doing a summer school program and I was like, all right, Sawyer, we're on the road today. We're on the road tomorrow. And then, no school on Friday. So I brought both boys and then my husband drove and picked him up when, he got off. And so but it was really kind of interesting because, they got to see what mom does. And my son, he has some special needs. And so it was like, go to work with mommy. I'm going to work with mommy. And he just kept on saying it. It was just really sweet because he likes to be involved. So yeah.
I love that. That's so good. And it's such a good thing to have your kids witness what you're doing. Like, it puts and instills some things in them that we don't really think we're doing. Like we're giving them, I think my son anyway, one of my sons, it's like he has the entrepreneurial spirit because he always sees mom trying new things, trying different ways to make money. So I love that you're sort of letting them dive in at such an early age. So all right, you mentioned that you don't really like to automate your business too much. So I'm curious, like, what does your customer care or your team communications look like?
So I would say I have a certain day of the week that I like to plan out messages to go out. Typically, I like to send out a couple messages that are just personal, like life experiences. For instance, my last message was, Grant's going to school on Monday. I can't believe it's so close. How is your summer wrapping up? Because, summer's wrapping up for everybody. So I feel like that personal connection it's really important to me. I am an extrovert. I love people. I want to know what's going on in everyone's life. And so that is it is a genuine question that I want to know about. And Facebook, I took a big break from Facebook because, I just didn't have the time to really, to be on Facebook all day. And so that is how now I feel like that customer connection is. Um, and then, thankfully, our home office, they send out emails. Um, I'm diving into a new program with Oh My High, which is my website. And I'll be starting to send out emails that are again, more personal than just hey, here's the sales, here's because it can't just be about that. It has to be about the relationship that you have with people. So, yeah.
And you rely on Project Broadcast for most of your communications, it seems.
Yeah, I would say that. I started diving back into Messenger, like Facebook Messenger is a really good space because a lot of people are on, Facebook and Messenger or Instagram Messenger. So yeah,
We
love
talk
that.
about Facebook a lot, like there's that love-hate relationship, and some people are all in and some people are very against it now. And it's interesting because I kind of weaned my group and my customers away from like a group, a Facebook customer group, but I'm finding it's affecting my sales. So I feel like Facebook, I feel like there is very powerful. It's a very powerful space for our business. But like you said, to keep it very relationship focused, not just sale, sale, sale. But I feel like now I'm kind of getting back into that because I miss my customers too. And I miss that interaction that I had before when I was focusing a lot on Facebook. So it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of comes and goes, but I don't think you can take social media out of your business. I think it's here to stay.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's too, it's almost like when because you're seeing people's lives, you're interacting with, them, they see what your life is like. And if you're not posting, on that regular basis, or you're not seeing, what's happening, then yeah, it's kind of, you lose that connection and that relationship piece, it seems like. um and when I did that, I had to make that decision intentionally, to kind of take a step back and really use what we would call like time blocking, or the Pomodoro method, or where it was, what, like 30 minutes a day is my time, maybe 2 to 3 times a day, where I can pop in and commit that time to,
Mhm.
the social stuff. So social media. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's important to put boundaries on it for sure. So, has there ever been a time you talk about going in maintenance mode, which is amazing that we can do that. Has there ever been a time when you're like, you know what? I don't think direct sales is for me anymore. Maybe you felt defeated. Maybe it was a time of like a slow grow or a stagnant time. So, have you ever felt like giving up? And if so, what changed your mindset? What made you stay in direct sales?
No, surprisingly, I've never felt like it wasn't for me. I'd never ever done direct sales before this. I was always happy to go to a party and support friends that were having parties. And I had, several people that were like, you would be so good at this. But it was just like, it wasn't my time. I wasn't hearing it. And I guess I didn't realize how flexible it really is. Because as a manager, a lot of a retail store, there's a lot of time. Your hours are different. You get to make your own schedule, but there's still a time that you have to be there. I mean, there's times at night where it's 11 o'clock at night, but I'm scheduling messages for the morning. Like I wouldn't be able to really, I don't know. There's so much greatness, I feel like, with the flexibility of this business, that I will never go back to the 9 to 5. It's just, and I mean, to be fair, my husband and I were married for 15 years before we had kids, knowing that like I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And for me, it was more of like there was a weird like mental shift, because I was like, oh my gosh, like what, like being a mom is important and it's a
Mhm.
full-time job, but like I had been in the workforce for so long, and, help growing other people and seeing other people succeed, that it was just like, it was just a natural fit, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And this year was my slowdown, and it worked out beautifully. I don't think it could have worked out any better for me, to be honest.
Sometimes people can get very down on direct sales. And maybe you're at a party and you're, presenting the business opportunity to the guests, and someone will be like, you know what, that's a pyramid scheme, or direct sales is not for me. How do you kind of turn that situation around, or that conversation around, because you are so in favor of direct sales. So how do you change people's minds, or give them something else to think about in a positive way?
So I think to be honest, it's really hard for me to answer this question, because sometimes I want to be like, where did you hear? Like, how do people get these stigmas, or how do people get these ideas? Because, we're not, I mean, a pyramid scheme, it's illegal, right? Or a Ponzi scheme, like it's illegal. Like you can't do that. And if this was, I mean, it's a legitimate business. It's been around for 23 years. Well, our company has been around for 23 years, but I mean, I don't even know what the oldest direct sales company is. You guys probably would know that. But I think I also think that there was a really like sleazy, pushy way, back in the day where people didn't teach people how to go about selling in a natural way, I guess, or a helpful way. Like to me, like my product helps people. Like it helps solve problems. There's and especially for even me, like I have sensitive skin. So, I've had clients with celiac that had never tried a gluten-free shampoo and they're like, I've had a headache every day of my life. I don't have a headache
Mm.
anymore. And it's like,
Wow.
man, like those are the stories that I love to share because that's why I do what I do. And I also, um, I'm in a fortunate position where, I don't have to do this for an income. So a lot of it, I give away to charity. And so that to me is a way that I like to be able to give back. And I try to explain that to people as well. Like this doesn't have to be a, a bad thing. This to me is a beautiful thing. And just by asking questions and being curious about how they perceive the industry, I think that's helpful. And there are some people you're not going to change their mind, right? But I think like just taking the time and trying not to get defensive about it because people always want to they always want to explain it or defend it like harshly in a way.
Mhm.
And to me, I, I would rather just like why do you think that it's that way? Like what is your where did you get your information and why do you feel that way? Because I think it opens up more lines of communication, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a hard situation to be in because you're right. You never want to come off as defending it because then it's like there shouldn't be anything to defend because it's not true, right? So I love your approach on that. All right. So I know that in 2020, for me anyway, was like a huge shift in my business. It's when I found my community outside of my direct sales business. And I know that you and Susan have known each other through Lemongrass, but you and I have met through the Modern Direct Seller Academy, which has been a huge community that has helped me grow my business. So, how do you feel that community has helped you succeed in direct sales?
I think that being with like-minded women who, they want to succeed and they want to do things differently. And I think that's super helpful. So yes, Modern Direct Seller have made some really great friends, have done some great collaborations. Um, I've also done some women inspired networking, where I led a group. And so that was, a great way to kind of cheer each other on. And, we would, you know, when you're accountable to somebody, when you put your goals out there and you're accountable to people, it's like, okay, I gotta make this happen. Not in a like pressure kind of way, but more of like, hey, this is a goal that I think it's important to me to achieve. I that having that accountability is very helpful. And you know what? If you don't hit the goal, like that's okay, but like you've had people cheering you on, you see how you grow even in those moments, So, yeah, I think community is huge if you don't have it and just the community within Lemongrass Spa itself is phenomenal. I'm part of an organization, we call it Epic Organization, and that means every person is connected. So even though we are in, this big organization, we are able to still help support each other, whether they are, wherever we're at in that organization, sideline sisters, or, we like to, we're a family. So maybe my aunt, or you know what I mean? Like it's just really, really amazing. And the support from your community is what keeps you going. Because when you do have the naysayers, you know, it's helpful to have people that are cheering you on. So
Okay, so that's great. So if someone's listening to this podcast right now and they find themselves in a similar situation or season of life that you're finding yourself, what are some first steps or suggestions that you can give them for staying consistent in their business?
I would, my first thing would be what can you say no to? What is happening right now, whether it's extra meetings or you know, so for me, just an example, I did take a step back from networking. I took a step back from networking. I took a step back from, modern direct seller. I took a pause from that. And I also said I used to facilitate virtual vendor events, and I said no to that. So those three things freed up a lot of time for me to focus on, my mom's, health and traveling and moving and getting unpacked and settled and, all those things. And it also allowed me to really, dive deep into what is it that I need to do to maintain my business for this time right now. Um, and help my and I and in it was kind of beautiful because as I took a step back for my own personal, I was able to still support my team and still, see them grow and watch them grow. I promoted a team leader, so like it was really cool that even though I wasn't like in the thick of it, every day myself, but seeing my team members kind of flourish in their businesses was really cool too. So um, yeah, what can you say no to? Block out certain times that you're committing, even if it's 30 minutes a day. I mean, I could get so much done. I had a high school girl come over and sit with the boys for like 2 hours on a Monday. And I would be upstairs in the office. And those 2 hours, I got a lot done, So, but if that's all it was for the week, I had to be okay with that. So plan out some time and what can you say no to? Those are probably my two biggest, aha, like it can go, you can still keep it going. And again, that is the beauty of this business is that you get to decide, I get to decide when I'm going to work things and how I'm going to support my customers and my team.
I love that. Yeah. And at the beginning of 2025, it's ironic because my word of the year was no. And it was that for that exact same reason. It's like, you know, I need to learn how to say no to things that aren't serving me, aren't moving me forward. And I need to be okay with that. I was tired of being the yes girl, Lisa, can you do this? And it's yes. And then all the things just kept getting added to my plate. And it was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Great advice. Great advice. Dena, can you tell the listeners something that maybe is your most rewarding moment or most memorable experience that you've had in your direct sales career?
Would probably have to say it is earning the first incentive trip that I took. My I had we had just moved from Belgium to Maryland. I had my second son and um he my mom and we drove down to conference and together, and it was at that moment at conference where I was like, you know what? Like I can do this. I can do this, And man, it was it was it was really it was a cool moment because it just reiterated to me that you can do whatever you put your mind to. especially if you have people that are cheering you on and giving you the ideas to, move forward in your business and think outside the box and just do new things and be challenged. And so that was probably definitely a defining moment for me. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know that the listeners are probably going to wonder where can they find you. So do you have like a place on the World Wide Web where maybe they can go and find a little bit more about Dena?
Yeah, so Dena's at homespa.com, and you can find me in all the places. I might not be active in all of them, but Instagram is at Dena's at home spa, Facebook, Dena's at home spa. I was able to kind of brand that DENAS at home spa.
Perfect.
So if you look that up on any of the platforms, you should be able to find me.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking your time. I know that you're a busy mom and you found some time just to fit us in. So I appreciate that so much. And I know the listeners are going to have tons of takeaways from what you've shared. So, again, thank you. And I hope that everybody will join us on the next episode of The Other 99%. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap for today's episode of The Other 99%. We just want to say thank you. It truly means the world to us that you're here. Lisa and I absolutely love creating these episodes for you, and we're so grateful to have you in our community. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like, share with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode. We drop fresh content every Tuesday. Got thoughts, questions, or ideas? Leave us a comment. Want to be a guest on the show? We would love to chat with you. Apply by clicking the link in the show notes. Thanks again for spending time with us today, and we'll catch you on the next episode of The Other 99%.